Today I'm going to be sharing a story about a quiet little girl who was afraid of even dipping her feet in the water, and her journey and how she became India's fastest ever female swimmer. But before I begin, I want to ask everyone in the audience, how many of y'all have ever heard or ever been asked to follow your passion? If I can have a show of hands, that would be helpful. So I look around the audience today and I can see almost every one of you have either been told that before or have heard it in some shape or form. But what is passion? And what does it mean? And how do we find it? We've all heard this term because it tends to be used as a catch-all phrase to define the keys of success. And speaking about passion, my journey into competitive swimming was anything but passion. It wasn't out of choice. It was out of a series of comedies and opportunities. And I say comedy because it's easy to look back on one's journey and see the humor in the events leading up to something. I say opportunity because every single day, each and every one of us are presented in some shape or form with an opportunity. Some of these are in plain sight, and some of them are disguised as something else. We can either choose to take these opportunities or walk away from them. And sometimes, walking away from an opportunity can lead to something better. I was never an outgoing person as a kid. I was shy, quiet, but I was always active. And I liked being around people. And every week in the summer months, my family and friends used to venture out to the swimming pool. And while my friends were jumping in and out of the pool and having a great time, I, on the other hand, was quite content standing outside the pool, dipping my finger into the fountain that was poolside. This happened week after week for months. And on one of those days, one of the adults, in an attempt to help me get rid of my fear of the water, took me into the pool. The minute I got in, I started flailing my arms and kicking my legs and doing everything possible to get out of the pool. And one of those breaststroke kicks landed on this person's arm, and he immediately let me go. And he looked up at my mom and jokingly said, "Shikha has a very strong breaststroke kick. Someday she will make a great swimmer." And the irony of this comment was not lost on my mom, as the sole focus behind that strong breaststroke kick was me trying to do everything possible to get as far away from the swimming pool as I could. The next year, I was 7 years old, and my mom enrolled my brother and I in roller skating classes. We had done this for a few months, and then we were registered in one of the local competitions. The two categories of age groups was above 8 and below 8. And this competition was just a few weeks after my 8th birthday. And so I was registered in the above 8 category. The race began, and not only did I come last, but I got lapped by every single other competitor. And once the race was over, we found out that when the organizers said under 8, they meant 8 and under. And I had just competed in the wrong category. So that was the end of roller skating, just how the kicking incident was the end of my swimming. As a child, I enjoyed running and would participate in school championships, and I would win. So I wanted to be a runner. My mom took me to one of the premier athletic academies at the time. Unfortunately, we were told that I could not enroll because they took kids only after the age of 9, and I was still 8 at the time. So that was the end of running. As they say, when one door closes, another opens. What the caterpillar sees as the end of its journey, the butterfly sees as the beginning. And that was my foray into competitive swimming. My younger brother was diagnosed with severe asthma, and he would be hospitalized every few months. And the doctor recommended that he take up swimming and do it regularly in an attempt to help improve his lung capacity. Since I couldn't be left at home, my mom took me along to the pool as well. And 2 years later, after that kicking incident, we were back at the swimming pool for attempt number 2 at learning to swim. On our first day, my brother was extremely excited, and he even jumped into the pool with his socks on. I, on the other hand, took my time. By the end of that first session, I was comfortable. Clearly something had changed in those 2 years. I think one thing led to another, and the next year, at the age of 9, I won my first national medal in the 50-meter breaststroke. I guess the kick was strong after all. At the age of 13, I was the fastest swimmer in India in my event. And at the age of 19, I was the only swimmer to represent India at the 2004 Athens Olympics. When I look back and reminisce upon the Olympics in general, the opening ceremony, walking alongside my teammates, walking behind the Indian flag, it brings back emotions that are very hard to describe. And for an athlete, being able to represent your country at the Olympics is the pinnacle of your career. The Olympics are unlike any other event. You have 10,000 athletes from all over the world, and each one the best in their respective sports. And all these athletes are living together, eating together, competing together, making friendships, and building memories. And that's something that I have not seen or witnessed anywhere else. Throughout my sports career, as well as beyond, I've had the opportunity to learn from all its ups and downs. And today I'd like to share with you 3 messages which today allow me to seek out new opportunities and also pursue my goals. The first one, being successful at something doesn't mean you always have to love it at first. Most of my successes have evolved through persevering through something that I did not necessarily enjoy or fully understand at first. Some people ask me, how did you know that swimming was the sport for you? The truth is, I did not. It's something that grew on me over time. But this does not happen overnight. It requires hard work, commitment, and perseverance. Not just to the task at hand, but to the journey as a whole. When I won my first national medal at the age of 9, my mom and I both had tears in our eyes. Hers were out of happiness, and mine were because I did not like the color of the ribbon on that bronze medal that I had just won. And my mom looked at me and she said, if you want the color of the ribbon on the gold medal, you have to work harder. And those simple words transformed my life, and it's something that I abided by throughout my 15-year swimming competitive career. Message 2 that I'd like to share is, great triumphs are sometimes hidden behind our worst failures. In 2008, I was attempting at trying to qualify for my second Olympics. The event was the 50-meter freestyle, and typically this lasts less than 25 seconds. And I had trained as hard as I possibly could, and I was feeling the strongest that I had ever been, both physically as well as mentally. And I was pretty confident of making that qualifying time. The race started, and it was going great, but then it happened. At the 35-meter mark, I swallowed water and I started coughing. I finished the race, and I looked up at my time, and I had just broken a national record. But I had also just missed the Olympic qualifying time by 0.05 of a second. And for those of you who don't know what 0.05 of a second is, that is too late. So I had just missed the qualifying time by that. I was heartbroken. I had just failed. I had failed to qualify for my second Olympics. That day was 10 years ago. And today, almost a decade on, while the emotions as represented on the slide, the negative emotions of missing that qualifying mark, while those have faded away, that record that I created 10 years ago still stands unbroken. As I wrap up, let's move on to point 3, which is don't only follow your passion. And this is one of my personal favorites. Don't only follow your passion, let your passion follow you. As I decided to end my competitive swimming career, the competitive aspect of my sport stopped, but my passion for the sport did not. As an athlete, I was always interested in the inner workings of the human body, and that got me interested in the biosciences. And these dual passions or interests helped me and motivated me to pursue both my academics as well as my sports simultaneously. I was always an advocate for clean sport and also preserving the integrity of hard work. And so when I graduated from college, I went on to work at the US Anti-Doping Agency on their science team. And this was exceptionally exciting for me because I was just one of a handful of Olympians from all over the world that had been given this opportunity to be a part, to directly be a part of the global anti-doping sports movement. And my transition from the pool to anti-doping science to health sport technology would not have been possible if my passion had not followed me outside of that swimming pool. In today's day, we're all in such a rush to find our passion. And what do we tend to do? We tend to focus on and pursue the things that we're passionate about or enjoy in that moment. But moments change, and so do our immediate ideas. So how do we find this passion in these ever-changing ideas and moments? Perhaps we could take a step back, maybe even revisit ideas that we didn't necessarily enjoy at the time, and let them grow on us. In keeping with the theme of today's event, connecting the dots, take any opportunity that comes your way. There's learning in every opportunity and in every situation. And in the future, when you look back, these dots would have connected themselves. And this will showcase your unique journey and reveal your true calling or your true passion. In the words of the late Steve Jobs, the dots do not connect looking forward, they always connect looking backwards. And as I stand here today and look back at all the dots that connected themselves through my journey, right from being that shy, quiet girl to being who I am today, I know that if even one of those dots had not connected in a way that they did, I would not be standing here as India's fastest female swimmer. Thank you.